There is another topic I wanted to talk about, and it's about using certain cuss words. And for a very long time, I'll tell you, almost 26, 27 years of my life, I was that too polite, too nice, too kind person who wouldn't bring herself to use her mouth or words or her energy in a strong way. Never, never. And for a lot of that time, not only that I was not comfortable using those words, but I was also in a way, like I was talking about this mind control chips, right? So they always made me feel guilty and ashamed whenever those words even came into my environment. I mean, they tuned me and molded me in certain way initially. That was even to say too pure, too nice, too clean, too and I wouldn't even look at a not so decent picture. I wouldn't even you let alone using the word. I wouldn't even, when someone starts using certain words, I used to literally close my ears, or when it comes somewhere, I would just put my attention somewhere else and all that. And I thought it was all about God. And I was okay with it because it's a different kind of zone I was in already. I told my journey was alone with God all the time. So I thought it was also part of being that godly person and all that. And it's not decent or good to use certain words. And it was all right. I was like very conscious about the words used. As it is, I was barely a talkative person. Unless there is a competition, some kind of elocution, declamation, public speaking, or some essay writing, anything like that. Like I already mentioned, my voice was always suppressed and suffocated since my childhood. So I wasn't talking that much. Most of the conversation I had was always within my head only. And when I was on those very little occasions on a normal, regular basis, when I was actually using my words, I was very choosy and very to the point, and I wouldn't converse that much anyways. And whenever these negative words and all kept popping up, and then curse words and all started becoming more of a common part of daily lives as the culture expanded, I was always made to believe it is so bad, it is so bad, it is so bad, it is so bad. And on some level it is bad. See, if you use inappropriately, overuse it, and useless, I mean it has no real purpose to be there, it's a useless thing, it's a redundant thing, it has no role to, it has no place to be there, and you put it there. It's the same with words. But for a very long time, very very long time, I almost believed it's such a sinful bad thing, and I was very extremely cautious about that. And then after all that 26, 27 years, I started opening myself a little up to the world and people and things around me. And slowly I started at least being tolerant to listening to words. At least I was still not using, but I was okay with at least listening to it and just not being scared or feeling disgusted or oh my god it's bad kind of uncomfortable experience that it would otherwise have given me. So I started becoming a little bit less resistant to it and all that. And also there was another reason. People around me, everybody around me was there for an assignment, I already told you. So they started using it against me, as in they knew I was uncomfortable with that. So they started deliberately using some unnecessarily negative, unnecessarily cuss words and filthy words and all that, only because they know it was making me uncomfortable. And their confidence was like, we will make her like us, or we will make her very uncomfortable because we are doing something that we know for sure is a discomfort for her, because their whole job is that make her as uncomfortable as possible in every way. So they were using it against me, and for a while I was very, very resisting, and then I have no idea when it just broke through, and then relevantly I started using them here and there, like very, very rarely, but I started using them. And it was a very big surprise for those people who thought they could bully and harass me using that, because she's like too nice and too pure and too clean. So we would do cringy stuff around her because we know she would be uncomfortable with it. Okay. And I still was not like very comfortable, but I found, see, I was already a very wise person. It's not like I'm some kind of a street idiot who is always using certain words because that's their level. That's not like that. Even when I started using it, it was always that I knew appropriately where to use it, and after that I didn't have to worry about it or be concerned about it. And it was a very rare thing, very once in a while I used to use that, and it was always very appropriate. And then I figured, oh, it is not the word itself that is bad. It has to be, like I mentioned, it has to be put correctly, expressed rightly, and it has to be relevant. It should fit in to what you're trying to express, be it verbally or through writing. So that was one thing. And then when I started using it more often also, I was almost put in a stage where this control tactic was that let her fear it. Because after traveling and evolving and becoming matured and seeing a lot of things within my own life and around me, then I started realizing why that kind of unnecessary guilt, shame and fear was put inside me when it comes to certain words and behavior and all that. Because when you look at religious people, overly religious people pretending to be all good and all pious and nice and all that, self-righteous, they are always about image. That's the whole reason they joined these groups, because they wanted that conformity. They were okay with set of behaviors, set of traditions, and set of yes and no's, and set of acceptability, people pleasing, to fit in and all that. That's the whole reason they were there, and they use religion as a shield to who they really are. Because I already told, religion is not about God. It's just another group cult behavior in a different form, which practices all those dark things behind that image, behind that appearance. So these people had to put up that image because that's the whole idea. They know what they do behind the scenes, but they want to look presentable, and the image has to be preserved, and they have to be a certain status should be there in the society, and people should look up to them, and all this image is the important thing. Not only fit in, but also be looked up to. So these people carefully keep their life around them in such a way that in front of others they behave very perfect. They don't use certain words. They are very gentle, very nice, very smiling and calm and peaceful. They keep everything on the inside. Everything about their appearance is about keeping up to that image, and they are all okay. That pretenses they keep up. They keep up to it. And right after everybody around them is gone, and whoever they are pretending, and they are in their own spaces, it's a totally different scene. So that's why that kind of behavior was being pushed onto me in a certain way, is what I realized. Because I didn't have to be that uncomfortable and about God being angry with me because I'm using this kind of things or doing this kind of things and all that. There is always this inner conflict of why. It's in the mind. The thing is, it's not in the conscience. It was not. It was in the mind, because that is where they want to control you. So there was a long confusion as to how does it fit in. Even though I was unconscious, very cleverly using everything right with the wisdom I have inherently, To put it in words, I never had the clarity as to how is that, is it okay or is it not okay? Okay. And it was not like God ever said me anything about it. It was just the prompting in the mind, that anxiety and fear and, oh my God, is it a bad thing? That kind of worry. Uh, is God gonna be angry with me and all that? Because they like it. They like to put fear when it comes to God. See, when it comes to God, there is only two things. When you are in the truth, dignity and right behavior, morally clear and clean, conscious and pure, it's about love, care, protection and everything. You go in the wrong direction, that's the only reason why you should fear God. You reject Him or you do things opposed to Him, opposed to His creation, opposed to the nature of things and opposed to the laws that He set. That's when you have to fear, because repercussions will come. But in otherwise, there is a sense of respectful fear to Him. That is for sure. But not in a way for every small thing you have to check and you have to be worried. This is how they put me in for a reasonable amount of time. This is the place of fear and constant worry and anxiety and fear of rejection. God will abandon if I do this. God will abandon if I do this. Yeah? They wanted me in that place where abandoning and fear and being thrown to wolves again, because He was the only one I had. Every human already was clear as to who they are to me. The only support I had was from God. So they wanted to cut that off from me, right? So they constantly put me in that state of, you cannot use these words, you cannot. That was overly religious, cult behavior actually. Because even if you see, tomorrow when my story comes, the main characters, whoever is participated in these wild criminal things, you would be even shocked, those who don't knew them personally, that these are the kind of people who put on a very good show and image to the society and people around them. There are some people who you would have never seen them really angry. You would have never seen them use even curse words. Yeah, they maintain that image that much. But the thing is, that's when I realized it's not two things I realized. So when I really noticing these characters for who they are, and I was like, I knew some of them, okay, because vast majority of them are outside of my circle, and they still came up against me because they were paid to do. Even within my circle, there's hundreds and hundreds of people. So when I observe them, they're not overly very kind of people who use bad words and all that. Very few, not all of them, not majority of them. They have a very good image to them that they maintain. And then I looked at their behaviors, their characters, the kind of things they keep doing to me and they kept doing to me, and behind the things, the kind of thoughts they had against me and my life, my happiness and my stability, the kind of things they were conjuring up behind the scenes to go against me, and every little crime and illegal things they've done with my name behind my back, with the sole aim of bringing me down completely or destroying or killing me. When I observed all of that, I was like, like, what the fuck matters if I use these cuss words or not, if these are the kinds of behaviors and set of things I'm doing behind the scenes? Using bad words would be the least of my worries. It's nothing. These people have that image, and they still try to put on that image. But the real nastiness of who they are is in their souls and spirits and their minds, where nobody is seeing it physically. But this one, they try to put on a show for it, and they will pretend like, oh, I don't use these kind of things. Look at her, she uses these words. Like everything they would use against me, that's not a problem. But this was one area they tried to keep me suffocated in such a way. And surprisingly, in the last few years, I didn't mind using these words because they were coming in the right way, in the right way, in the right situations, and with right intensity. It's not like I'm holding on to them, just like these people are addicted to certain things. It's not like I'm addicted to holding on to negativity like that. Just like I mentioned, the balance of darkness and lightness. This is like that. This is exactly like that. So because they wanted me to maintain the true purity, because only then I would be too nice and too kind to leave them. I would rather forgive them instead of cutting them off and saying, no, you don't deserve forgiveness. I would rather feel sorry for them when they come to me and say, I also went through stuff, instead of saying, get out of here, I don't give a shit about your stories. The darkness has to be there. That is something I took a while to understand. And God, in fact, God Himself prompted me. There are so many times when God Himself prompted me, hey, you're being too nice. Don't be. You're being too humble. Don't be. You stand in your power and show that power. It's all right. That too humble, too nice. Don't use certain words. Don't be certain this. Don't be certain that. These were all brainwashing techniques they used upon me and expected me to blindly follow it out of fear of God. God said, I want you to be fully who you are. And it's my job to fully see and fully express who I am. Freely, authentically. And I'm not using them as a weapons. Like this, like I said, these are the same people. So these two things I realized. One is, if you are doing vile, dark, demonic, character assassination, slanderous, criminal, downright criminal, illegal, murder and rape and kidnapping and trafficking, wow, unlimited, like their crimes are unlimited. If you're doing all this shit, baby, using curse words would be the last of the concerns. There are bigger things to worry about these characters than whether they are maintaining the image nicely or not, whether they are using bad words or not. It's the least of the problems. There are bigger things they are doing behind the scenes. That's one thing. That's how I realized these are just used for the sake of image. So it's okay to express yourself freely, because you're not doing it with malicious intent. You're doing it in a way that expresses fully what it is, and then you're leaving it there. It's not like you're habitually doing it, or you like putting things down, or you like doing negative things or not. But you have to be dark enough to, when you're angry, sometimes you express it in a way where you don't have to use those words. There are sometimes you have to use those words, because that is the only way for you to fully express how angry you really are, how that situation really is. To describe it, this is the only way. What will you do? Are you going to be too nice? Because are you going to suffocate it? No, you have to be fully free. And God was saying this, like, you are being too nice, you are being too humble. That's why these people are like playing games with your power and playing games with your authority, even though they fully know they have no right to play anywhere near you, with your energy, with your life. But every time they keep doing, because they think you're too humble. So it's okay. Show your strength. It's all right. I'm not saying you don't. You should actually. And that's one thing He made me realize. Don't be too nice and too humble. This is even after I cut everybody off. He still told me, you're being too humble. Don't. Because this is another thing they keep instilling in my mind. Be humble. Be humble. God is the greatest. Be humble. Because in order for them to control you, with my authority, come on, with the power and authority and the sovereignty that I hold, sovereignty means freedom. I was born free. So in order for me to not realize my own freedom and that authenticity and sovereignty, the power and authority I hold, I sit on the top, right, like I said. In order for me to not own it, they have to keep me small, which means they have to keep on telling me, be humble, be humble, be humble, be humble. That's when God realized, cut the bullshit. You don't have to be humble. You're not born to be that way. I did not build you to be that way. You're not even born that way. Show them so that they don't have to play. And then I started showing. Then I started realizing, oh, wow. And the same with the bad words. It was like, you're being too nice. He kept saying me, you're being too nice, you're being too nice. And I was like, okay, I'll see. Like when the moment comes, I will fully express without trying to be too nice. And then I started really expressing myself fully. And I did not mind using certain words, because they are the only way I can express fully what the situation is and how upsetting they are. So then I realized the darkness aspect. Like you can't be too in the light that you forget to fully express yourself when it comes to certain things. The same with, you don't have, he literally said to me, no, it's not your job. You're sitting on the top. They want you to say you have to be humble because they want to control you. I am asking you, I built you, you sit on the throne, you rule them. You rule them. What's an emperor and an empress going to do by being humble? Fuck, nothing. You sit in your power, you sit in your authority, you speak your words and you sit in that authority. Zero. I am not asking you to be humble, fuck it. And that's when I fully realized there is no need to be humble at all. It was all brainwashing. So they can manipulate me. They can manage me. And I'm the one sitting on the top. Who the fuck? What the fuck is that? It's a fucking mind game. That's when I realized, like, you let them, you give them any room, they will manipulate you like that. Imagine, I'm the sole authority here and a sovereign. He taught me what is sovereign, full freedom. As in, I'm never meant to fit in any way, shape or form. There is a certain freedom to who I am just at by birth. Not even as I freed myself from the matrix. There was always this freedom in me. And that's why I was like, I am sitting on the top. I rule everything, the spiritual and the physical realms. And I am the sole, sovereign, supreme authority. You know what it means? Fully free. I am not bound by any laws. No. Because I overcome all of it and I know how to respect and rule them and go, rule within these laws. It is inherent in me. I am not bound by any laws. Did I break any? No. I am not bound by any of them. Then how did I not? Because it's inherent. It is so inherent in me. Nobody has to come and tell me, do this, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. No, it's inherent. I am not bound by any laws. That's what true freedom and sovereignty means. I have my own rules to play with. Those rules come from the divine, the heavenly realms. The highest realms. Supreme, what is supreme? The highest. The top, the topmost. Soul, one. Soul, supreme, sovereign, authority, power and dominion over the physical and the spiritual realms. I literally rule these two realms. I am free. I am not bound by any rules. I have my own rules that come from the heaven. And I am to enforce these laws here. It's not the other way around. Nobody from the below, from the beneath. I rule these two realms. So who is to rule anything here? I am ruling all these. Who is going to tell me what is what and what is not? Who is going to define certain stuff to me and try and fit me into a box? No fucking way. And that's the desperation everybody was in since my birth. Because that was the level I sat on even at birth. I just had to go through all this to finally realize it and tell them, your necks are under my foot because you crossed your lines. People who did not cross their lines, I won't do anything. I'm the ruler here. But I know how to deal with people who are harmless, people who are harmful, people who go with the law, against the law, not physical, up. The laws from the up. And you are trying so hard to tell me what is it and what is not, and what I am and what I am not, and how much power I have or not, or how much authority I have or not, how much dominion I have or not. Oh my goodness, the arrogance of you all, the disrespect, the inherent disrespect. That's why they need laws. Because there is no inherent respect for the law or power or dignity or sovereignty or dominion or a stature. Would you do something like that if you are living in a real big, huge kingdom and there is an emperor sitting on the top and they are at the top? Everybody has to go there and she rules everything. Would you do something like that? And they want to do it. Because they're like, it's spiritual, nobody around can see, so we'll still keep playing games and we'll still keep telling others to go against. How is that even going to be okay? Or how is that even going to be tolerated, that level of disrespect? No, never. And that's what God made me realize. It's not about the bad words. It's not about the anger. It's not about the humbleness. It was always about them trying to control you. I wanted you to express freely. If you're angry, I wanted you to be angry in a way that best expresses what you're going through. I never said don't use certain words or don't be a certain way. They tried to do it. That's what he taught me. And that's when I realized how they use that religious control and over dignity control. And dignity truly is in who you are at the soul spirit level, in the truth that you live, and the whole, that, like I mentioned, that power, that authority, that doing the right thing irrespective of whatever and wherever. It's not in the superficial stuff, not even in the words, especially when you use those words appropriately. When you know, you have the smartness and wisdom to know when to use where and where, how, period. And this is something I wanted to talk about because it's very surprising and interesting topic. and that's the thing about using wisdom even in language, and the darkness and lightness and its balance.